Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very impromptu video if you couldn't tell, but this morning we saw that the classic skins for the female characters in Mortal Kombat 11 are going to be paid for, in a sense. You've got to get them through the store, and they're cycling through until January 4th, and then that's it. That's as far as we know, that's the only time that they're going to be got until they're implemented in Towers of Time or something. And that, I feel, is the straw that broke the camel's back for me with Mortal Kombat 11. I feel like I've given the game more chances than it's probably warranted. But if I'm going to be completely honest, that is my current PS4 favorite Mortal Kombat game, and it's 4.5 years old. I really thought that Mortal Kombat 11 was going to be the best, and frankly, it's never been more fun to play as Kotal Kahn. That's what stings for me. There's things about this game that are good, and parts of this game that I actually like. But I think NetherRealm has basically become a full-fledged macro mobile company, if that makes any sense. It all started with the game that I'm actually playing now, Injustice 2, with the mother boxes and the source crystals as the extra currency. And back then, I defended that game too. And then now Mortal Kombat 11's out, and we're up into December, and with all of the bizarre decisions aside and everything, I think the thing that stings the most for us is the fact that while they are not at all necessary, the fact that we are getting skins that are now permanently, so far as we know, tied to the time crystals, which if you can get time crystals relatively easily, but the fact that you're spending 900 or 1,000 or over 1,000 time crystals for these classic skins is a little bit nuts. In fact, I'm actually just going to switch games really quick, just so that I can make sure that I'm reading the prices off right. But if memory serves, 1,000 time crystals is like $6 Canadian, $5 US, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, and this is not the first time and not the last time we're going to be seeing NetherRealm greed. Because of their mobile division, they can get away with some asinine things. Did you know that on Black Friday this year, they offered Darkseid, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, characters in the entire game, for 135 Canadian dollars. That's over 115 US dollars. The Combat Pack version of Mortal Kombat 11 cost that much. And they're asking for that for one character and some upgrade materials. Do you see where the problem lies with that? And look, it's on daily rotation. Okay, so for me it's 910 because I have the dagger and the vial in the intro. It's just classic Scarlet and her mask. So, and right now I could get it because I have 1,700 time crystals because of just gameplay and the fact that I got all of those reimbursements from when they fucked up the Towers of Time and they reimbursed everything. Oh yeah, and then there's this, and I think I'll talk about that later. But right now, I want to talk about the time crystals. So I just want to load this up real fast. Searching for new content. There's no new content. Just get to the thing already. Jesus Christ. Okay. So, first off, you can't get just 1,800 time crystals. It's 1,835 time crystals. Let's suppose that you're like me and have basically unlocked and have gone through all the towers with at least Katana, Jade, and Scarlet, because these are the characters that will be going on cycles with this. And let's say it's going to be 910 time crystals, so you're going to get it for half off. Remember, half off of what their original asking price is. You're still going to be asked to cough up about $10 for the time crystals necessary, provided you do not grind through the Combat League for these time crystals, because there's a chance you can get them. And this is going until January 4th, and every couple of days they're going to cycle through. So if I just go into Combat League, for instance, every 5 sets you get 50 time crystals. You may get 100 time crystals if you get enough wins, or you'll probably just get some other random ass currency nonsense. And the Combat League, remember, started earlier this month. I want to say about a week and a half ago. Come on. This is the worst part about trying to make a video like this and be impromptu about it, is the load times. And people wonder why I play Control. There we go. Okay, so we got 19 hours. Or 19 days, I should say. Let's suppose I play through for all 19 days. 19 times, let's see, 50 time crystals. 19 times 50. 19 times 5, that is 95. That's 950 time crystals. That's enough for one of those bundles. In 19 days. We don't have 19 days until January 4th, folks. Today's the 18th. We have 7, 14, 15, 16, 17. You may be able to if you do that every day. But still, then you might be wondering, well, let's just suppose hypothetically that, even though I don't think it will, let's say those skins are available right when Combat League ends. To get enough time crystals to get the skins and the mask, because remember, it's 910, you would need to hit God rank. God rank. In order to even touch the 1,000 time crystals that you would need to get one of those bundles. So, and this is the only real way to grind time crystals, is by doing this and leveling up. That's it, folks. That's all you get. All of this in order to try and get 3 sets of skins that, if we're going to be honest, are pretty mediocre. There's a reason why they're called classics, and it's not because of their design. It's because of their age. In my opinion, classic skins have never interested me in any way, shape, or form. Like, okay, fine. You want the nostalgia, you want to hook the people who are adamant that these are the best designs that the Mortal Kombat characters have ever had. Okay, sure, get them in there, get them in there as nostalgia stakes for the cash. But that's why they're there, folks. This is why you never see classic skins outside of Raiden for some reason, as like Raiden and Baraka for some weird reason, as things that you can just unlock. These are things you more than likely are gonna have to buy. Especially the classic Katana, classic Jade, and classic Scarlet skins. A lot of people who are fans of Katana, Jade, and Scarlet wanted the classic skins when they were first leaked. And here they are. $10 a piece. That's $30 for a skin, its alternate color, and 1 gear piece. This is 1. Now, let's suppose that here's a very real scenario. What if you never played the Towers of Time? What if you got one look at the Towers of Time and were like, fuck that? Which is quite reasonable considering how broken they were at launch. Again, let's go back to the time crystals and talk about the pricing there once it loads. You can't cough up 10 US dollars. You would have to cough up closer to $25, maybe 20. For me, as a Canadian, it comes up as $26.99. That's just how currencies work. My money sucks. If I ask you for 50 US dollars, really I'm asking for basically 75 Canadian. But that's for 2,500 time crystals. Don't buy the bonus shit. That's just there to try and coax you into buying more. It really is not like that. That's $20 for, again, a skin, its alternate color, and three pieces of gear now, because this is assuming you never did the Towers of Time, and an intro. Do you see the problem now? Do you see the reason why I have evolved into despising microtransactions? I used to support them, even in Injustice 2. Naively, foolishly, idiotically. But since then, I have changed my outlook. And remember, this is not the only item. Brutalities are available for grab. Victory animations, gear, skins, other bundles. There's a Sonya bundle up right now, for instance, if I want a particular beret for 210 source crystals, which that is actually relatively easy to get. That's 4 days. That's 4 days of 5 sets in the Combat League. That's relatively easy. Or if you just can't wait, that's $5, which is still asinine. Absolutely asinine. And I have had the thought cross my mind, and I know some of you may have the thought that crosses your mind of, well, don't buy it. But here's the thing. Fear of missing out is a really big issue. There are compulsive spenders and people who have difficulties with gambling addiction or whatever. There's no mother boxes and you're not paying for loot boxes or anything like that in Mortal Kombat, thank Christ. But there's definitely that FOMO element. And there is also the element of, why would they put something in the game if they don't want you to use it? And a really good example of that is something that Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11 have in common. They allow you to use AI to battle fights for you, to grind for you. Because the designers know that the publishers, that WB, that corporate, wants people hooked and addicted to this game, engaging for dozens of hours at a time in order to potentially get them invested enough to cough up extra cash for the microtransactions. This is classic. This is a classically venomous technique that mobile developers have been using for years. And NetherRealm themselves use this tactic because of their 3 big mobile games. They had 4, but they shut one down recently in WWE Immortals. Yeah, that's right. And that's another thing, too. At any time with these mobile games, they can shut down. And then where are your hundreds of dollars spent? In nothing. You basically just handed these companies a $100 check on a silver platter. This is the reality of the big AAA companies. And this is why, just as well, that while I will talk about this again a little bit at length, not to the same degree as this video, it's been going for almost 15 minutes, and I'd probably keep going, but Mortal Kombat 11 will not be in my top 10 games of 2019 list that I played. No, not at all. It was actually in the top 5 at one point. But as things came out, my opinions changed, and as the year wore on, and NetherRealm pulled stunt after stunt, Steadily it ticked down, and now it's not even part of the conversation in that video anymore. It's a real shame, but this is what AAA companies do. Just a couple of days ago, remember, this is not an isolated incident, by the way. Just a couple of days ago, Activision sold a bundle of content that included the ability to see how many times you died overall and in a match. In Modern Warfare, the remake, you can only see how many kills you've gotten and how many wins, not how many losses. This is literally a decades-old feature that they removed and put behind a $20 paywall. Because, get this, and I say they put it behind a paywall because, get this, there's no other way to get that. You got to cough up $20 to get that, which means you got to get the rest of the bundle as well. And maybe you literally just wanted that and you hate everything else in that bundle. Tough. It's ridiculous. This is why we need to be praising games like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, Control, Death Stranding. Even if I'm not personally a fan of Death Stranding based off of how it looks. Resident Evil 2. What do all of these true AAA experiences have in common? Not only are they big single-player experiences, which, big companies think we don't want, except we do, but they monetize smartly. I'm not being egged by Spider-Man on PS4 to buy more skill points or to cough up cash for skins. I unlock those motherfuckers. Unless you pre-order the digital deluxe edition like I did and got 2 of the skins for free. But it's only the 2 of those skins and the 5 skill points and I guess a spider drone gadget. Stuff you can unlock in-game if you did not. That is important. If I, for whatever reason, lose access to my digital copy of Spider-Man and the save data, that's gonna suck. But I can go buy another copy of Spider-Man and unlock everything again. I can't with Mortal Kombat 11. I literally can't. Not because of all the stuff that's behind a paywall. The Halloween skins, behind a paywall. All of the grinding, let's not forget, some of the items in this game are exclusive to Combat League with no current way of getting them so far. And that finally brings me back around to this. The Crypt event. And I'm sorry that I'm not showing you any visuals. It's because my TV's over there and I'm recording off my phone and it's just not gonna look good. A brand new Crypt event arrives. The rare gold Chronica vault containing Combat League gear for Jade and Jackie, who are among the top tier ones for their respective Combat League sets, will be available for 24 hours starting this Friday at 9 a.m. This is where some, not all, but some of the Combat League gear went into this timed event. And if I had to wager a guess, using Jade as an example, we know what those are going to be. One of the masks, the Star Princess mask. Okay, none of the Kroll blades. What about sticks? Oh, I have all the sticks. Then never mind. So it's that mask. It is that particular mask. The Beryl Star Princess, which is solid green and kind of etched in. Then you have Jackie Briggs, who may or may not get both of her Combat League gear pieces in. And they're both Rat-a-tat gauntlets. Those were God tier unlocks in that combat. I think it was season 3. And only now can we get them if we did not grind like hell for them. Which I didn't. I only went as far as champion. I only needed to go as far as champion for most of these seasons. That's it. My goal is still to get to champion for this season of Combat League for the Kotal skin. And that's it. These games are no longer complete packages, and that is what is frustrating. In as far as I know, the last NetherRealm game that was a truly complete package with no need, and I'm counting Ultimate Editions, by the way, for this, with no need to download anything, is Injustice 1. Because there were because with Mortal Kombat X's Ultimate Edition, you still had to go download Gold Scorpion. And you still had some skins that you had to unlock, which those are unlockables. I'm not counting those. But you still had to go and download Gold Scorpion, which, while it's free, set a precedent. Now with Injustice 2 Legendary Edition, you still have gear. You're never going to be able to get all of the gear in the game because of Injustice 2's storage limits. At the highest rank for a character, you have level 30. All right? Level 30, that's the cap. And at level 30, you get to store 125 gear. With Injustice 2, there are 3 tiers of gear. Common, rare, and epic. And legendary, but the legendary gear is counted like the basic, your basic default gear, as it were. In that, you cannot get rid of it. So, because it's counted separately, whatever. Legendary gear doesn't count. Common, rare, and epic gear, however, do. And because of that fact, only some characters have so many different gear options that even with just keeping epic gear, which is what I usually do, because with rare and common gear, it's just verb descriptor. That's it. So, for instance, lethal moray eel coronet. That could be destructive moray eel, or I've got destructive tiger shark, or it could be armored tiger shark, or healthy blue whale, or what have you. And what's worth note, and while the designs are different, and quite frankly, I really like some of the common and rare designs for gear better than some of the epics. I still have a Black Manta rare helmet because I like how that particular design for Black Manta's helmet looks. But with 125 gear that you can hold on to per character, you start to run out of fast in a real fucking hurry with some characters. Green Lantern is a perfect example of that. It is literally impossible to get all epic gear for Green Lantern inside of your closet without duplicates, because there's not 1, not 2, but 3 different versions of all 9 Lantern cores. ROYGBIV white black. Times 3, that's 27. That's almost 30 pieces of gear. Not to mention all of the different Green Lantern, just Green Lantern core designs. And then you have helmets and arms and lanterns, and all of that counts towards the 125 gear total. Which, if you get past, it goes into overflow. And if your overflow's full, your shit gets automatically deleted. This is the biggest issue with NetherRealm games of all time. It's the biggest. By far, bar none. Shitty story? Sure. Mortal Kombat 11 story was definitely not great. And while the others could be improved, they were better than MK11, and at least there was something there. There's something for us fans to like in those story modes. Whether it's NetherRealm's first true DC story in Injustice 1, or some of the Combat Kid moments in MKX, or just Injustice 2 being the best overall so far. It's not costumes. For the love of God, it's not costumes, female designs, what have you. Are they being hypocritical in keeping some of the sexier, even though it's not that attractive, designs for MK Mobile Scarlet and the classic skins for Jade Katana and Scarlet again? Sure, it's scummier that it's being monetized, though. I don't give a rat's ass about the classic skins, truly and honestly. And that's not just because I got started in Mortal Kombat 9. The classics belong with the classics for a reason. And there's a reason why Mortal Kombat Deception Sub-Zero is still one of the coolest designs in the game, bar none. But, besides some of my gripes with classic skins, and how predictably boring they are, how safe it is to have classic skins that, again, are not free updates like they were in MK9. They were, you know, paid for. It's the monetization of everything. And remember, this whole pay for a premium currency bullshit microtransaction thing started in Injustice 2. And was arguably worse, because for the longest time, there was no way to unlock shaders outside of using time crystals, or source crystals, should I say. Here we go. These fucking things. Alright. First off, you have your simple 2,000 source crystals for $1 US. This was practically useless. You could use it for one gear transform, and that was it. Your $5 11,000 source crystals, that gets you 1, maybe 2 shaders. Your $10 bundle, that's definitely 4 shaders. Your 50,000 or 50,000 time crystals for $20, that is enough for 10 to 12 shaders. But it gets worse, because because $53.49 was where it stopped. $49.99, $50 was where it stopped for time crystals. But it's not where it stopped with source crystals, which was $60, $66.99. I have full games cheaper than that. Jurassic World Evolution Deluxe Edition was cheaper than that. Control's Digital Deluxe Edition was cheaper than that, for fuck's sakes. Man, this is turning into a half-hour rant. If you guys have stuck around for this long, I applaud you. But I'm not done yet. How would you like to spend $100 on top of the $60 minimum that you spent on Injustice 2? 325,000 source crystals. These are all in US prices. For me as a Canadian, it's $133.49. I am not making that up. I'm gonna screenshot this and post this later, because this is fucking atrocious. What's even more atrocious and more gut-wrenching to me is that I supported this shit. I actually did spend a little bit of cash in this. Granted, it was only I only dropped a grand total of $13 on 2 separate source crystal purchases, but I still fell for it. I cannot imagine how bad somebody must have felt when they realized they ran up a $200 deficit for buying 2 packages of source crystals. Or 20, or 30, or 40, depending on how they fucking went with this shit. And with the Legendary Edition, because, you know, this is supposed to be the Legendary Edition, right? With the update that lets you unlock abilities in multiverses, and also helps you unlock shaders, which you can unlock certain shaders in the multiverse now. As far as I know, you can't unlock premier skins that way, but I got all the premier skins beforehand, so I couldn't test that. But they actually added in the Legendary Edition, and I can't make this up, an Infinite Transforms bundle. Because in Injustice 2, you can transform gear. And what that means is that if you like the stats and set bonuses for a certain piece of gear, let's say, I don't know, let's say I really like how I like the True King's Mail, but I want it to look like, let's say I wanted it to look like, here's a good one. Let's say I wanted it to look like Gloves of the Great Deluge, which is a different design. That's 2,000 Source Crystals. That's what you spend that $1.99 transformation on. So, as a cost-saving measure, you have to spend the equivalent. Again, can't make this up, and there's no way to do this in-game. You have to spend the equivalent of $10. You have to spend $10 US, which is the equivalent of 20,000 Source Crystals in order to get that. That's 10 transformations, folks. 11 if you want to go with the 23,000, but really. And to think I like Injustice 2 more, even though I've been bagging on it for the past 5 minutes. But this is why Mortal Kombat 11 got the boot from my top 10 list and has sorely fallen. I think this is going to sound really strange, but come February 2020, I think Street Fighter V will be better than this game. Honestly and truly. Despite all of my gripes with that game's nonsense, because Capcom did it worse, because of where they finally got Street Fighter V, Champion Edition Street Fighter V, hell, Arcade Edition Street Fighter V as it stands right now, is better than Mortal Kombat 11. Injustice 1, a 2013 release on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and the Wii U, which then got ported to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. No, actually, I don't think it ever got ported to the Xbox One. I think it just became backwards compatible. But that game, for all of its faults in how the art design was, and the fact that it was a last-gen title, is better than Mortal Kombat 11. Thanks for tuning into this video. It's a long one, so I'm not expecting you guys to watch it. You probably would get the gist of my complaints in the first 5 or 10 minutes. But if you watched all the way through to the end, and if you watched all the way through to the end, I have to do my obligatory YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to be awesome, folks. And NetherRealm Studios, specifically, I know some of this was probably demanded of you by the higher-ups at WB. There's no way everybody at NetherRealm Studios is behind this. Even Tyler Lansdowne, you have said at one point that you don't want people using these microtransactions. But they're still there because WB said you should put them there because they know if it's there, somebody's going to buy it. I implore you, NetherRealm, you're uber successful now. You've made millions. You've made WB millions. You were the best-selling fighting game of 2019 for 8 months running until Smash Ultimate kicked your asses. Take this opportunity and do better. And if you can, this is the trouble with being a subsidiary of a large company, this is difficult, but if you can find a way to separate from Warner Brothers and become your own company again, I think I speak for a lot of us NetherRealm fans when I say that would be the best course of action. If you want to make your own mobile games and use them to keep yourselves afloat while you go through the painful separation process, I completely understand. If you want to co-create with WB instead of working under them for Injustice, hey man, I'm fine with that. Injustice is pretty fucking sweet. But just remember that, and I'm sure you guys know this, but the WB overlords are not making you guys look good. Some of the decisions you guys have been making lately have been making you guys look really, really bad. So use your power as one of their key video game assets and let them know that you do not fuck around. Let them know that you will not crunch. If you guys are actually committed to that, let them know that you will not be engaging in crunch practices anymore. Let them know that you will be having unions if you guys do intend on unionizing, which I think you guys should. If you guys fully intend on taking your time with the next game, if you guys want to take 5 years on Injustice 3, I personally say go for it. It can only do good. Spider-Man took 5 years. The God of War reboot took 5 years. You don't need to crunch for 2 years to make these products. And these 2-year... and it's becoming clear that your 2-year crunch, really compressed schedule is starting to impact the quality of your games because you're starting to hit that upper ceiling. Between the new moves and customization and making gear and making a new story, getting high-profile voice actors and securing the rights to Spawn, you guys are swamped, I imagine. And it's going to get to a point where you just can't do what you're doing every 2 years. It will get to a point where it will literally be impossible for you guys to be able to make any of these games for a period of time, or have to devolve back into being a mobile-only company, which that is going to sting, while you guys get your big projects off the ground. The ones that will take way longer, and I think should take way longer. Injustice 2 could have stood to have an extra year in the oven. Mortal Kombat 11 could have stood to have an extra 2 or 3. Your next game, NetherRealm, Injustice 3, Mortal Kombat 12, fucking Primal Rage reboot. As far as I know, you guys still own the right to that. The right to that game. Let it bake for 5 years. 5 years. All right? Maybe 6, so that it comes out in 2025. Have your mobile games be the means for you to make the money in the eyes of WB for long enough for you to bring something truly epic. Something worthy of the AAA stamping. Otherwise, you need to start cutting things elsewhere. Injustice 2 being a legacy fighter, which is one of the first legacy fighters that you guys have ever done, that is a perfect example of what I mean. It's only because Aquaman and Batman and Superman fight basically the same as they used to in Injustice 1. Only because of that were you able to crank out something as good as Injustice 2, in my opinion. Because while you had a lot of new characters, most of your old characters fought pretty much exactly the same, with a few exceptions like Wonder Woman. But Cyborg fought the same. Cyborg fought pretty much the same as he did in Injustice 1, just with a new trait. Aquaman got a different down back too, and a few other hit properties changed. Still the same. Batman probably had more changes than most, and he's still at his core Batman from Injustice 1. This is something you have to consider continuing with. If you want to keep this crunch schedule, you need to cut corners somewhere. And I don't mean with your workers. For God's sakes. I don't mean making your workers work 100 hours a week during crunch periods. Last I checked, somebody died because of that. Don't do that anymore. I mean cutting corners in the sense of scaling back your ambition. You guys are very ambitious in the terms of what you want to do. You have a character that manipulates time in a fighting game. How fucking crazy is that? But was it really necessary? Maybe for the purposes of the story, sure. But You don't need to create all new movesets for every character in Mortal Kombat anymore. You just don't. You have 3 separate versions of these characters now that you could roll with. MK9, MKX, MK11, depending on the direction of the game you want to go in. You don't need to do that, and Injustice 2 is a great example of that. Don't forget to be awesome, folks, and holy fuck, 40 and a half minutes? I need to stop talking.